Welcome back to the channel. Imagine holding a small, everyday object, something you might casually toss into a jar on your dresser or use to pay for parking, and realizing it could be worth more than most homes, cars, or even yachts. Now imagine that object is a 1986 USA $quarter coin, and that its rumored face value isn't the standard 25 cents, but an astronomical $146 million. What would you do? Would you believe it? Would you call a collector, a historian, or maybe even a lawyer? Because when a coin carries such weight in value, its story is never just about the metal it's made from, it's about mystery, timing, rarity, and a bizarre dance of historical significance that only few ever get to witness. The 1986 quarter might not immediately stand out among the pocket change clinking together in your drawer. It has the familiar profile of George Washington, the standard clad composition, and that tiny D, the mint mark indicating it was struck in Denver. But to coin collectors, numismatists, and a select few who have stumbled upon versions of this coin bearing telltale signs of anomaly, it has grown to represent one of the most captivating and elusive stories in the world of rare currency. To understand why this particular coin is even whispered to be worth $146 million, you need to rewind the clock, back to 1986. America was in the thick of transformation. The Reagan era was in full swing, technology was evolving, Wall Street was roaring, and the US Mint was producing coins at an unprecedented scale. But within that flurry of production, something unusual happened. It wasn't just about mass manufacturing anymore. Quietly, something slipped through the cracks, or perhaps was carefully and deliberately crafted, that would set off a chain reaction in the collector's world decades later. The Denver Mint, responsible for billions of coins annually, isn't typically associated with errors or anomalies. It's known for precision. But even the best-run systems aren't immune to mishaps or secrets. According to unconfirmed reports, a small batch of the 1986 quarters was allegedly struck using experimental dies. Some speculate these dies were used to test a different metal alloy, one not meant for public circulation. Others believe there were test strikes for commemorative designs that were quietly discarded, or were supposed to be. But a handful of these experimental coins may have escaped destruction and ended up in circulation. That is where the legend of the $146 million quarter begins. So what would make a single $quarter so incredibly valuable? Rarity is one thing, but rarity alone doesn't fetch nine-figure prices. It's the story attached to the coin, the legends, the conspiracies, and the absolute uncertainty that drives its worth. The idea that this coin represents not just a minting error but possibly a glimpse into a secret government trial, or a covert minting experiment, has added to its allure. Imagine being one of a handful of people on Earth holding something that might have been meant for the president's desk, not the general public's pockets. Collectors who have come across what they believe to be this elusive 1986 coin describe features that aren't documented in official mint records. One of the most consistent stories revolves around a coin with a sharper relief, slightly different coloration, and unusual die polish marks. There have also been whispers of edge reading anomalies, where the grooves along the edge of the coin appear inconsistent with standard minting practices. But with no formal acknowledgement from the US Mint, these claims live in a strange limbo, too persistent to ignore, but too shadowy to confirm outright. Now let's zoom in on a particular story that caused a stir within the numismatic community around 2003. A collector at a coin show in San Francisco allegedly displayed a 1986 quarter that experts said showed telltale signs of being struck from an entirely different planchet, possibly silver, not the standard copper-nickel clad. The coin was never publicly sold, and the owner, shrouded in anonymity, refused to have it graded. But murmurs from that weekend still ripple through collector circles to this day. If that coin was real, and if it was indeed a test strike in silver, it would be one of the rarest modern quarters in existence. Of course, the intrigue doesn't stop there. In 2011, a report surfaced about a coin dealer in Florida who allegedly received a strange 1986 quarter from an estate sale. The coin's weight and electromagnetic signature didn't match any known circulating coin. Testing reportedly showed traces of platinum, an element never used in standard quarter production. Though the coin vanished after a private transaction, its story became a lightning rod for speculation. Was it a fantasy piece? A test token? Or the product of a covert minting process, All of this has fueled a second-hand market for suspicious 1986 D quarters, many of which turn out to be standard coins showing wear or environmental damage. But every now and then, a coin appears that seems to challenge explanation. One such coin, examined in 2016 by a prominent private collector, showed an off-center strike combined with a rotated die, extremely rare but not unheard of. However, it was the combination with an unusual metallic luster and an incorrect weight that pushed this specimen into the realm of legend. Though still unconfirmed by any official grading service, the buzz it generated led some to estimate that, should it prove genuine, it could command a valuation in excess of $100 million, and that's where the big money enters. The $146 million valuation isn't based on just one aspect, it's a cocktail of extreme rarity, historical speculation, lack of official confirmation, and the feverish excitement of the unknown. It also reflects how much a private collector is willing to pay for something truly unique. Think of it as the equivalent of a priceless piece of art. No two eyes will see it the same way, and to the right person, its value may know no limit, but let's take a detour to appreciate how much has to align for a coin to even approach such a valuation. First, you need scarcity, so limited that maybe only one or two examples exist. Then you need provenance or a compelling story of origin. You also need a passionate buyer base, often driven by nostalgia, mystery, and the thrill of possessing something no one else can. All of that applies to the elusive 1986 D quarter, and here's another layer. If such a coin truly does contain experimental metal content, the implications stretch beyond numismatics. They touch on US mint policy, metallurgical research, and even internal record keeping. If ever proven, it would force the mint to reckon with history it has long denied or buried. That, in itself, would rewrite parts of coinage history as we know it. Meanwhile, ordinary folks are checking their pockets and coin jars, hoping to strike gold, sometimes literally. Websites, forums, and social media threads have popped up dedicated entirely to analyzing the 1986 D quarters. People upload photos, measurements, and even videos of magnetic tests, trying to determine whether their coin might be the one. Some of these posts go viral, adding more fuel to the growing legend. Others are met with skepticism, debunked by experts who have seen countless hopefuls before. Still, the dream persists. After all, how else could a single quarter be tied to a $146 million mystery? It's worth noting that while no major auction house has ever sold a 1986 D quarter for anything close to that amount, rumors persist that private sales, quiet transactions between elite collectors, have happened. These stories are difficult to confirm, but that's part of the appeal. The idea that someone, somewhere, might have this ultra-rare coin tucked away in a vault, just waiting for the right moment to surface, keeps the myth alive. Even as experts remain cautious, they admit there is something unusual about certain 1986 D quarters. And that's why this particular coin has become almost mythological. It's not just a piece of metal. It represents a perfect storm of history, secrecy, value, and obsession. The 1986 D quarter has transformed from a mundane piece of currency into a symbol of hidden worth and modern-day treasure hunting. Whether or not it ever officially sells for $146 million may almost be beside the point. Its true value lies in the story it tells, the dreams it sparks, and the countless people it has inspired to take a closer look at the change in their hands. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real treasure, not the coin itself, but the journey it represents. A journey into forgotten history, lost records, speculative wealth, and the undeniable magic of believing that something ordinary could turn out to be extraordinary. So the next time you find a quarter in your pocket, especially one minted in 1986 with that little D mark, pause for a second. Run your thumb over it. Check its edges. Hold it up to the light. Because hidden among the billions of coins in circulation, there just might be one with a story that no one has ever fully told, and a value no one has ever fully grasped. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most fascinating mysteries in modern numismatics, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more hidden histories, and share this with a friend who might be sitting on $1 million secret without even knowing it. Last, imagine reaching into your pocket for change, fishing out a quarter, and not realizing you're holding something that's worth more than a mansion, a yacht, and a luxury car combined. It sounds like a fantasy, right? but in the vast, intricate world of numismatics, coin collecting, truth often blurs with legend, and in that fog of mystery lies the tale of the 1995 USA $quarter coin, a seemingly standard piece of currency rumored to have a face value of a jaw-dropping $82 million. This is more than just a story about a coin, it's a tale of minting mysteries, historical twists, economic intrigue, and the enigmatic forces that sometimes converge to turn metal into a fortune. To understand how a 25-cent coin could ever be tied to such a staggering value, we must rewind the clock and examine the year 1995 itself, a period of transition, ambition, and innovation in the United States. The mid-90s marked a time when the country was experiencing major shifts in technology, economics, and politics. The Cold War was over, the internet was beginning to change how people lived and worked, and the American mint was adapting to a future where the simple act of printing money was about to become a lot more complicated. In Philadelphia, where the coin was minted, the U.S. Mint facility was one of the busiest and most productive in the country. It was churning out billions of coins annually to meet the demands of a booming economy. Among the many coins produced in 1995 was the quarter, seemingly routine, without any notable changes in its design or composition. But within those countless coins, anomalies emerged. Subtle differences, unusual textures, and peculiar minting marks caught the eyes of sharp collectors and coin specialists. Over time, one particular variation stood out, the 1995 P quarter. That's P mint mark signifies that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the main mints in the United States responsible for general circulation coins. The 1995 P quarter bore the familiar profile of George Washington on the obverse and the enduring image of the bald eagle on the reverse. Yet, something was off. Reports started surfacing about coins with unusually high-definition features, slight shifts in engraving alignment, and a curious weight discrepancy that could not be explained by normal minting variances. Numismatists began to speculate. Could these features point to a rare era coin? Was there something experimental going on at the Philadelphia Mint that year? As whispers grew louder, the story took on a life of its own. A handful of these 1995 P quarters were reported to have sold at private auctions for hundreds of thousands of dollars, extraordinary sums for a coin so recent. But the real shock came when rumors emerged about a single 1995 P quarter being valued at $82 million. It seemed implausible, and yet, the very mystery of its potential made it irresistible as experts tried to trace the origin of the $82 million valuation. Some believed the coin was part of a top-secret experimental batch minted with an ultra-rare alloy never before used in U.S. coinage. Others speculated that it might contain microscopic errors or hidden markings that tied it to a broader historical event or governmental operation. Still others suggested that it had been used in a clandestine financial transfer, hidden in plain sight as a form of coded wealth. As wild as these theories may sound, the numismatic world is no stranger to extraordinary stories, coins lost for decades, rediscovered in old barns or tucked away in attic boxes, sometimes turning up with values that defy reason. To appreciate just how a coin could reach such value, it's important to understand what drives the rare coin market. Rarity, demand, historical context, and provenance all play a part. If a coin is believed to be one of a kind, if it is tied to a key historical moment, or if it possesses traits that make it impossible to replicate, collectors will stop at nothing to acquire it. And in the case of the 1995 P quarter, each of those boxes appears to be ticked, at least according to the legends that surround it. Digging deeper, there's the tantalizing idea that the $82 million coin might have connections to a high-level mistake or secret mint operation. Some insiders have whispered about the possibility of pattern coins being struck at the Philadelphia Mint, unofficial prototypes created during the testing phase of a new minting process or alloy. If such a coin was mistakenly released into circulation, its rarity would be unmatched. Others suggest it may have been a test of anti-counterfeit technology, embedding micro-engraved codes or rare metallic compounds into the coin's structure. If true, such a coin would not only be rare but technologically significant, worth a fortune to collectors, historians, and even governments. Of course, skeptics abound. Many in the numismatic community dismiss the idea of an $82 million quarter as fantasy, pointing to the lack of formal documentation or verification by grading services like PCGS or NGC. But even these experts acknowledge that coin legends, while often exaggerated, typically spring from a kernel of truth. The very fact that such a rumor persists decades after the coin's release hints at something deeper, some anomaly or event that gave the story its roots. There's also the curious trail of vanished coins. According to some reports, a batch of unusual quarters minted in 1995 was quietly pulled from circulation, intercepted before they reached the public. This has led to conspiracy theories about a secret recall, a hidden ledger at the Philadelphia Mint, and classified records that confirm the existence of something extraordinary. While these accounts are speculative at best, they add layers of intrigue to an already compelling mystery. Adding another twist is the story of a coin dealer in Ohio who claimed to have encountered one of the ultra-rare 1995p quarters during a bulk purchase of circulated coins. His description of the coin, a slightly off-center strike, strange iridescent coloring, and an unusual metallic ring, matches accounts from other collectors who believe they've seen similar coins. The dealer, reportedly unaware of its value at the time, sold it for a modest premium. Years later, when the rumors about the $82 million valuation surfaced, he tried to trace the coin but found it had vanished into a private collection, its whereabouts now unknown. Whether these stories are true or just urban legends of the coin world, they fuel the fascination that surrounds the 1995p quarter. Even today, collectors sift through their change in hopes of finding one of these elusive coins, hoping that a simple 25-cent piece might turn out to be the holy grail of modern numismatics. The psychological pull of such a story is immense. It taps into our desire to find hidden treasure, to stumble upon fortune in the most mundane of places. It's the same reason people buy lottery tickets, metal detectors, and estate sale boxes filled with unknown trinkets. The possibility that one small object, a coin we've all seen 1,000 times, might secretly be worth millions is almost too seductive to resist. So what should you be looking for if you hope to find this legendary coin? Start with the basics. It must be a 1995 quarter with a Sp's mint mark. From there, check for subtle abnormalities, off-center strikes, unexpected coloring, extra ridges, or weight discrepancies. While most of these will be minor errors worth a few dollars, you never know when you might stumble upon something truly exceptional. Having the coin evaluated by a professional grading service is a crucial step, as any potential value will depend heavily on authentication and condition. Stories like that of the 1995p quarter highlight the hidden layers of history that surround us. They remind us that even in an age of digital currency and financial algorithms, the physical coin still holds power, not just economic, but emotional, historical, and cultural. Each coin carries the weight of its time, shaped by the people, machines, and decisions that brought it into existence. And every now and then, one of those coins turns out to be far more than just pocket change. In the end, whether the $82 million valuation is myth or fact, the story of the 1995p quarter endures because it offers something rare in the modern world, a sense of wonder, a belief in hidden possibilities, and the dream that somewhere out there, in a dusty drawer or forgotten change jar, a fortune may be waiting to be found. If you're fascinated by stories of mystery, value, and forgotten history hidden in plain sight, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most intriguing coins and collectibles. Who knows, your next great discovery could be right in your pocket.